Hello, today we are going to try to fix this Yamaha SPX90 digital sound processor. I've got it plugged to the AC outlet, and when we try to power it on, as you can see, nothing on the LCD screen, nothing on the digit display. The UV meter is showing something, very dim, but we've got like all the bar graph being lit, and it's telling me that we've got some kind of problem. Typically those type of problems are happening where we've got a IC that is driving a bar graph like this, and it's acting like a current sink. So when it don't get any information from the microcontroller, it just sink all the current, and that's why all the bar graph are being lit. This is my assumption. So we've got either a power issue, or we've got a problem with the microcontroller, or most likely a CPU, because this is a old equipment, but it is very dim, so that might be a PSU. And let's see what we've got inside. By the way, if you are using that type of equipment and you've got an issue with a ground loop, do not bypass the earth conductor. This is the earth on the Shuko plug, and people are taping it out, but you are basically removing your protection against touching your metal chassis, and if there will be a short with a live wire, you can make a really big mess. So don't do that. Never tape out the ground. You have to remove the ground loop problem on the equipment end, maybe using a isolation transformer on your input and output. I'm taking a look at the device. I can see some EEPROM. We've got the memory backup battery that is most likely totally dead. We can see our switch mode power supply, the mains input. We've got a main chopping capacitor that is look bulge, but when I'm touching it, looks like that's only a plastic sleeve. It shouldn't be like that, but maybe it is fine. The capacitors, to be honest, doesn't look that bad. I can't see any bulge. They look pretty good. Maybe that one is leaking. That's sealed maybe from the electrolyte. So I'm going to definitely recap it. We've got adjustment for the voltage. We've got 2 power rails. That one is marked as a plus 5 volt. And we've got a DG, which stands for a digital ground. And here we've got the AG, which is going to be analog ground. We've got a negative 18 volt, the positive 18 volt. We've got a PE, that might be a protection. It go into this regulator, so we've got a positive and negative 15 volt regulators. I don't see any standby. The main power switch is switching that physical connection in a very nice mechanical contraption. This doesn't look good. That GUI that is being used for gluing stuff, I don't believe it is electrolyte. That looks like a glue that's being used for making sure the capacitors are not going to be rattling. Around that resistors, you've got like some kind of copper reaction on the leads, so that's going to require more checking. I'm going to touch the analog ground and the digital plus 5 volt, and I'm reading 3.2 volts, which is not correct. I'm going to measure the analog. The negative go into analog ground and to the negative, and I'm reading negative 3.3 volts. And the positive part plus 12 volt. So we've got a definitely problem in the power supply section. I'm going to remove the capacitors and we are going to take a look. I injected 5 volt from a power supply, and as you can see, the device is working. So we've got a definitely problem with the power supply unit, and I'm pretty sure that we are going to get a good fix. And we also got a low battery warning, so it will require replacement. So I've got a very good vibe. I hook up everything and let's calibrate the voltage. I go anti-clockwise to the lowest position, and we are going to attach my multimeter to the digital ground and to the plus 5 volt rail, and I'm going to turn it on, and we are reading 4.4 volts. And I'm going to increase it until we've got exactly 5 volt, because that's going to be great for my test. Let's check our double voltage. So common analog and the negative 18 volt. We've got a negative 18 volt. The another one, and we should read a positive 18 volt. We read exactly what we want. I believe we are in moment that allow us to test it. We've got the backup memory replaced. We've got our capacitors replaced. I also replaced that one capacitor just because it is close to the display, and I believe it is from a backlight. I didn't touch any capacitors on the analog section. This is the analog, this is digital, and this is power supply. I believe in the power supply they were stressed. They were in the very hot environment. They were cooking constantly. And also the switch mode power supply is sending those pulses and they are trying to smooth it out. That's why I believe they are stressing out. On the analog section, I do not believe they were in that stress condition, so I'm pretty sure they are going to be okay. If there will be any problems, I will replace them without any problems. The only one that I replace is that one, and I believe that location is telling me that it's being used on the backlit of the LCD screen. And since it gives me a vibe of being a little bit too dim, I just replace it as a safety precaution. We are hooked up to the power source. Let's try to power it on and see do we've got a good fix. And it says low battery, which is not nice. Let's try to do a factory reset. Let's power it off. I'm going to press and hold the balance, the foot trigger, and turn the power on. So here is the power on. and I believe the factory reset was done, and we do not have a low battery warning. Let me cycle it on and off. And looks like it's working. As you can see, I can change the amount of the balance, I can change the effect. Of course, I've got absolutely no way of testing it without the audio in and out. Let's do a very basic test. I will grab this cable, plug it to the input. As you can see, we've got the signal, so it's responding. I make assumption and end this video saying that we've got a good fix. If something won't work, then we've got a follow-up. So at this point in time, thank you very much for watching. I hope you find it interesting. See you next time, and bye bye.